Couldn't talk a little ball after recruiting all day yesterday. EJ said I couldn't talk anything about the bowl game or Stanford. I said, okay, EJ, we could have got this done in one shot, but he's the boss. We've gotten really 3 good days of practice in this week. A lot of the game plan, I would say, probably 70% of the game plan's in for Stanford. We still have some stuff that we'll end up doing and just adding to it because you have extra time to do some different stuff. So we'll continue to add to the game plan. Obviously playing a great Stanford team. I think Costello, the quarterback, the defense is nasty. I mean, they got a lot of good players. They got some guys that are draft eligible, some all-conference players that are making decisions. I know, but their backups have played a ton as well. So I mean, we know Love has been hurt most of the season and has not been up to par to begin with. So they've got guys that have played a lot of football. It's not like we don't have tape and you're wondering who you're going to play against. They're there and they've played a lot because they've been probably a little banged up, I guess, through the year for whatever reason. So a big physical, athletic football team. Obviously, David Shaw is a great football coach on the ethics committee with him, with the AFCA. So get to spend extra time with him, and he's just another super individual that you love to go play with classy guys. And so this will be a great opportunity to go play a really good Stanford team. So questions.
Has that in recruiting been your focus, or have you spent any time sort of reviewing the season, kind of looking back and assessing what you guys did this year?
A little bit of both. I mean, a little bit of both. We've got computers and iPads. We get to bring them. So every airplane I'm on, you're able to flip your, you download it to your iPad. There's a process, and you get whatever you really want to watch. So we went back and self-scouted some things, just like we do in an open week, which we did, before the Notre Dame game, and you get to kind of see what you're doing and find out maybe some tendencies that you can't, that you don't have time during the season to really find out. You hope you don't build them by accident, but there's some things that pop up. So we've been in the process of doing that, and we'll have obviously still more time to correct those things. And our GAs when we're on the road, like Tim Cooper, for example, one of our quality controls, went back and broke down our offense in defensive terminology, trying to look for stuff, and vice versa. James Patton did the same thing. Just so we've had those guys back. Kind of, we're on the road for 2 weeks. That hey, finish up your Stanford breakdown. Now break down us in the other terminology, so I can look and see what I see from how we break it down, because everybody does it a little bit different. So we've done a great job at self-scouting as well as obviously looking at what Stanford does.
Well, as you've gone through that, then how do you assess Kenny's development and how Sean has worked with him throughout this season?
Well, I mean, I think it's like when you look at the passing game the last couple of weeks or whatever it may be, and you look and you kind of go, you have to kind of put it in perspective as far as hey, is it the protection? Is it the receivers? Is it the quarterback? Is it the play calling? There's so many different variations and things you can look at. Is it the guys you were playing against? I mean, I hate to, just say this is bad stuff based on who we played. I mean, I think we played 2 of the better defenses we played all year. They certainly are, if they aren't in the rankings, one of the top 10 defense in the country, they certainly are personnel-wise. Maybe they didn't play so good together, but they got dudes. But Stanford's got the same type of guys. I mean, they're big and physical and athletic on defense. So, we're looking at all those factors and find out what we got to do. But we got to get it fixed. Can we get it fixed in time for the bowl game? We'll find out. But that's our goal.
You mentioned Love being out. I just saw last night, I guess they have a lineman who's not going to play. I mean, maybe not underclassmen-wise, do you have anyone looking at that draft, but have you had conversations with any players just about that trend in college football with the bowl games and deciding what to do, basically?
Yeah, currently, you live and learn, and with this new age of college football and that process, we've certainly got to get our younger guys ready to go, just in case, which is part of the development that we talk about all the time anyway. But I'm currently, which I've never had time to do. Last year, obviously, we didn't, get into this situation and have this situation, had time. But I'm currently meeting with all the seniors, this week, just trying to sit down with them. What are you thinking? Academically, where are you? And again, most guys have graduated already, so that's pretty easy. But just find out where they are academically, where they're thinking about training, what their plan is, what all-star game are you playing in? Did you sign up for that one yet? You better get signed up before your spot's gone, all those different things. So I'm sitting down with them, just really find out what they're thinking, because I don't want to, be surprised either.
Right now you're expecting to have everyone, I guess.
Expect to have everybody.
Nobody else is going to, underclassmen are going to miss the game for any particular reason?
Sure hope not, no.
Okay.
Are any of the
Well,
guys?
who are you thinking about?
Nobody.
You heard any rumors?
No, I
You hear
haven't.
something, you know.
I would tell you if I heard it.
Ernie, when I got hired, you called me like 40 times before I got the job, so I mean, freaking let me know,
It was
would
only,
you?
it was only 20, wasn't it?
That's one of my favorite stories.
Are any of the guys that you had banged up throughout the year potentially trying to get back into pads for this game?
Is there anybody that banged up during the year trying to get back? You know, I don't think we, you know, knock on wood, we were pretty healthy through the year. I mean, you know, Virginis would be the one guy, you know, jump up and down, but, you know, I wouldn't do that to him. I mean, he runs around like he could. You know, our doctors and therapists have done a great
I
job.
was thinking like Jimmy Keyshawn.
Jimmy Maduri, or
Jimmy
Jimmy
Morrissey.
Morrissey. Yeah, no, yeah, I'd like to, no.
After the,
Still scooting around. And who else?
Keyshawn Camp.
Keyshawn Camp, no. I mean, just don't need him, don't want to do that. I wouldn't put, I mean, could he play? Maybe, who knows? But, you know, for one game, and then he's back in a sling.
after the Clemson game, you threw out the fact that you were trying to get another year for Kenny. Is that a possibility?
I'm always going to do that, but I don't think we can apply for that until, you know, he gets near. But I'm going to continue to try to do that. And I'll throw DeMar Hamlin in there, same thing. The guy played 4 games. If you go back to it, he had to play because Avonte Maddox wanted to go in the game, and he had a dislocated elbow. And just like I wouldn't push Keyshawn Camp to come back, or Jimmy Morrissey or anybody, you know, DeMar Hamlin had to go out there just because I felt, I mean, Maddox said, "Coach, I'll go in." He was like, you know, with a half arm. I'm like, I'm not doing that to you. So, I mean, DeMar had to play for that reason, and it's a shame. And I think the NCAA will listen. I sure hope they do. Those are 2 guys I'd like to get. That rule is why it's set for. So I think, you know, I don't understand why those guys wouldn't be. So.
You could wait till their senior year before you did
I
that.
think you have to.
Yeah.
You know, you can talk to Dustin up in compliance, but I think you kind of like getting a Juan Price 6-year back. We couldn't apply for that until after he was finished. So I'm assuming it's the same.
Right.
But we'll address that after the season, see what our timetable is.
You or this time of year, guys or coaches will experiment with position moves, switching guys around. Have you looked at any, or you have any guys that are moving positions?
Not yet. There's no slam dunks. There's about 3 or 4 that we've thought about, but you know, you want to kind of wait till you got your recruiting class all done before you do too much of that. So you see who's where do you need a guy. But there's a couple that we have in mind. So we'll figure that out. But no scholarship guys right now have been changed positions.
Paris Ford's availability, or Paris Ford's playing time, was limited later this season. You think he's going to play a little more in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it was limited, you know, really all year, just trying to get him, you know, mentally ready. He's a football player, I'm just telling you. I mean, last week, you know, not last week, was it this week? Might have been Monday, Tuesday. This guy's got 2 turnovers. I mean, he's a guy that makes plays, you know. We just got to be sound, because I don't want to be sitting in front of these bright lights and cameras after the game, you know, feeling bad because, you know, we made mistakes that we can't do in a game. You know, it's one thing if it's physical, it's one thing if it's mental, but he's got to be a great football player. I've said that all along. He will be. We've actually got Paris working at some safety right now, kind of bowl practice, so that's maybe a position change, but really not anything far from what our thoughts were with him. You know, playing corner for as long as he has helped him understand what he has to do at safety. He's learning it, and he's been making some plays at safety. So we'll see. We'll see how close he can get and see what the practice tape looks like.
Other than Darian Street, have you guys had anyone leave at the semester break? Or?
Yes, we have. We had one other guy leave. Is Ricky Town. I thought maybe you guys knew that. Ricky's, you know, going to go back. I think he's got a few more classes to graduate. He's a great kid. I appreciate everything he did for this football team. You know, we needed Ricky when he came, and appreciate his trust coming here. And you know, he's left after academically. He finished off the semester, taking care of some personal things back home with the fire out there in California. He had, you know, the family went through a lot out there. So he just thought, Coach, I had enough, and he's a super kid. I love that guy, and we wish him all the best.
Is he going to transfer, or is he just
No, he's going to just finish up his degree, take care of his family, and get into life.
life's work?
Life's work.
Do you, yeah, the last thing I want to ask you, when you were talking about Paris, he was the guy that you talked about after his freshman year, really shining on the scout team. Who stood out this year? Any guys jump out to you from the freshmen this year?
Yeah, good question, Chris. There's a lot. I hate to not mention somebody, but I mean, I'll look at the deal. I mean, really, you know, when you look at John Morgan, who's ended up playing a little bit at the end of the year, him and Haba have done an excellent job all year. Scout team, they're going to be 2 defensive ends. Tyler Bentley and David Green are going to be excellent inside. We already know Devin's kind of moved up, maybe a little bit ahead of those guys, and maybe that much. it wouldn't be. It's not like there's a drastic difference between any of those guys. But we think all those guys up front. Linebacker-wise, a young guy that stood out. I'm trying to think if there's anybody down there that has stood out. Nobody like I can talk about right now. Eric Hallett has done a nice job. Judson's done a nice job. Two guys that aren't playing, but offensively, Nick Patty's done an incredible job. That guy's gotten hit, whacked. Kind of reminds me of Kirk Cousins a little bit as a young kid. He's got a quick release. He makes plays on the scout field. He's helped our defense every week, play better. Cameron O'Neal, receiver, from Alabama, has done a nice job of developing on the scout field, making plays. Kmar Mims has also done a nice job at the tight end position. O-line, Blake's done a good job. It's hard with the O-line. They don't get to make as many plays. And Jake Cradle's done it. I'll probably mention every freshman. I'm happy with all of them. They're all going to develop. They're all getting better, but you notice those guys every day because you watch the tape, and Jake's done a nice job as well. In the backfield, Michael's done a solid job, but he's played a little bit of both.
You ever coached against David Shaw?
Yeah, I have. He's a great coach. We played him in the Rose Bowl in 2013.
When you looked at yourself, Scout, was one of the things you looked at those 4 games for the freshmen and how you used them, and how do you feel like you did as far as that goes? And I know you've got some guys that are probably going to play their 4th game of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I love that rule. I love being able to use it. We've got some guys that have exhausted the 4 games we're done with. You saw enough out of one guy in Valik that he said, forget the 4, and he's going to end up playing 7 games. And that's great. That's kind of what you do. You got 4 games to show me what you got. And I said that from the beginning. If you blow it up and you go, then we're going to give you some more. And so we're able to give them a little bit more. So I love the rule. And even in special teams, trying to get matchups, even in the championship game, we're able to use, I think, Haba Baldonado and John Morgan in that game. Just if it's playing 3 plays, they got a chance to play in that game. And they know, they've at least played in the game, so I think it's a great opportunity.
Isn't the concern about that rule a little overrated? Because even if they use a guy up, he still has 3 years to play for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people worry about it, but he still can play for 3 more years.
Right. What do you mean worry about it?
Well, people are concerned, you're going to play him at 4, blow his burn his red shirt. So
if you
what?
play him for more than 4.
Yeah. So what if you burn a guy's red shirt? He's still going for 3 more years.
Yeah.
No, you don't agree with me.
No, I'd like to have them for I mean, to me, if they're good enough, like I told Valik, Valik had that situation where, hey, I might want to stop after 4, okay, and not play anymore. And I said, hey, who knows when you're going to use that redshirt year? Okay, so there is that point.
You can still use it.
So that you can still use your redshirt. I mean, like Valik played 4 games, and it was like, okay, what do you want to do? And he's like, I don't know, maybe I should just sit down. And I was like, well, listen, I think you can help us win. Okay, but next year you could come out of camp and hurt a knee, twist your elbow up, and now that's your redshirt year. So I mean, when everything says, hey, you can help us win, you play as long as you can. So I'm not worried about it. If a guy can, is making an impact in our offense or our defense or special teams for that matter, we need him out there to win. To me, it's best to play. Because you never know in those next 3 years. The key, Jerry, is the next 3 years, you never know what God's got in store for you. You never know when you're going to, something's going to come up, and, eventually something comes up in a 4 or 5 year career that, I always tell the story. I had a kid named Frank Farrar, played for me at Rhode Island, started in his first year, started in his second year, his third year, he was a starting DN. 4th year, he starts on the 13th play of the game against Maine. I'll never forget, he breaks his leg. Well, that's his redshirt year. He never redshirted, so he comes back in his 5th year and ended up playing 5 years with the Giants. So, I mean, those things happen.
Any final? You send these guys home now for Christmas, or do they stay?
We got
here?
practice tomorrow. That's a great question too, just to see. I think the schedule works out really well. But they will tomorrow. We'll practice in the morning again. We'll go through some bowl things and meetings, obviously. And then they'll be free until the day after Christmas, the 26th, when we fly out. Anybody within an hour and a half radius of the city of Pittsburgh campus will come back here and we'll charter down to El Paso. Anybody that flew back to Ohio or Maryland or Virginia, wherever it may be, Maine, is going to fly directly to El Paso and meet us there, and just so they can spend the maximum amount of time. So they'll have 4 days with their family for the holidays, and then after the bowl game, we'll fly them back home. So that's their round trip that we're allowed to pay for. So they'll get a Christmas, and then they'll come back on the 7th. So they'll have a little time after the New Year. So that's kind of how it works.